Some quick thoughts on the role of genetics and dunk and jumping ability. There's pretty common belief that African Americans have some, or Africans have some kind of genetic advantage at jumping, and I think that's really a damaging idea to have because it discredits the amount of training and effort that these players put into jumping. Um, yeah, I mean, if anything, there's a cultural phenomena where if we compare African Americans to Asian Americans as cultural groups, their priorities are very different, right? We have um, these Asian Americans are really into test taking and pianos and math and stuff like that. And this is a generalization. And African Americans, you go on Instagram and you look up youth basketball, you'll see this. Um, Highly represented. We have a lot of African American families enrolling their kids into sports early and helping them train and passing on training knowledge. And you do find that, okay, there's better African American jumpers than Asian American jumpers. But is it because of genetics? I don't think so, and I think believing that's really damaging. It's like saying, if you're an Asian American, you get into some school or whatever, saying, well, you had a genetic advantage at taking tests, a genetic advantage at getting good grades or whatever. You worked your ass off for that, right? So why would you say that this other person who, you know, is very good at jumping, like, oh, that's natural, that's genetic. It's really not. Like, I mean, there are cultural differences and there are genetic differences, but again, like anyone who has bounce worked for it. So the whole idea that race plays a role, I mean, it does in terms of cultural, what we're doing with the youth. But I mean, if you start training, I mean, Asian Americans that start training early are athletic, and African Americans who study for tests are good at that too, right? I try to not say anything controversial here. It's hard to prove one way or another that it's genetic or not genetic, but I think believing that it's genetic is really damaging because it discredits the amount of work that goes into it. So I think we should just say if someone has bounce or they're good at something, how did you do that? What's the work that you put into it? Oh, you started when you were very little. Awesome. Okay. So those are my thoughts on genetics and dunk ability, jump ability, which is I don't think they have much to do with anything. And hard work is how it's done. So peace. Let me know what you think in the comments if you agree or disagree.